Okay, I am going to call the meeting to order of the Zoning Board of Appeals for January of 2021. Will the clerk please call the roll for the members that are present tonight?
Mr. Lanus. Mr. Lanus, you here?
Yes. Yep, here.
Thank you. Mr. Bernard.
Here. Here.
Okay. Chief Williams. Chief Williams. Mike, Chief Williams. Mr. Pina, you're here, correct?
Here. Yep.
Chief Williams, are you available? Oh. Chief, can you hear me? Do you want to click on the bottom left hand where it says mute and start video? 1 second, please. Mr. Chair, while I do the technical thing, you may start, if you wish, the information on the meeting.
Okay, the first thing I would ask is anybody that's sitting in on the meeting tonight, please shut off any of your electronic devices, any televisions, radios, put your cell phones on mute so that it doesn't interfere with the operation. I'm going to read a letter relative to the remote meeting that we are having tonight. Notice regarding this public hearing to be held virtually. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Order Chapter 30A and 20, relating to the 2020 coronavirus outbreak emergency, this public meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals will be open to the public. However, the public and all applicants are encouraged to participate remotely. Alternative public access to this meeting shall be provided in the following manner. The meeting will be televised via Brockton Community Access TV. Public comments will be taken via Zoom or by email to Plouffe at cityofbrocktonmass.us. The comments will be read during the public comment portion of the agenda items. The comment must first state your full name and address, and only the first 2 minutes of the comment will be read during the hearing. Before we start the hearing tonight, is there any petitioner that is scheduled to be heard tonight that will be withdrawn?
Mr. Chairman, you may have already seen it, but this is John McCluskey, and we've come to a satisfactory resolution on Affordable Properties LLC, Steve Torrey manager, for the property at 944 Warren Ave. So that has been withdrawn. I submitted an email to the board yesterday and would hope that that would be a sufficient writing, so to speak.
Yes, I did receive that, and I will read that now. Petition 2106, the petition of Affordable Properties LLC, Stephen F. Torrey manager, 33 Dover Street, Suite 124, Brockton, Mass. Seeks to build a 3-family townhouse on the lot by variance from Article 3, Section 27.977(13)A, or by overturning the negative buildable lot determination in an R3 zone located at 944 Warren Avenue. It has been determined that that lot and the potential building does not need zoning board of approval. So that case will not be heard tonight. So if there's anybody on tonight to hear that case, that will not be heard. Are there any other cases that want to withdraw prior to the start of the meeting? Seeing none, For tonight's hearing, the way the hearing will be held, I will call each one of these cases individually. The petitioner will make their presentation to the board. When the petitioner has finished the presentation, I will ask the board if they have any questions about the comments that we just heard. Following that, I will open it up to public discussion for those that want to speak in favor, which would either be by Zoom, by letters, or email. I will close that portion and then open it up to anybody that wants to speak in opposition, once again by Zoom, letters, or emails. And lastly, I will open it up to any elected officials that may want to make any comments relative to the petition. Following that, I will close the public hearing and I will then open deliberations of the board members. I will then call for a roll call vote, and at the end of the vote, I will make an announcement whether the petition has passed or failed. Now, in order for a petition to pass, we have a full board of all 5 members tonight. If the vote is 5 in the affirmative, none in the negative, obviously it passes. If there is 4 in the affirmative and 1 negative, it will pass. A 3-2 vote, 3 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative, and the petition does not pass. So it requires at least 4 affirmative votes in order for a petition to be granted. I think that's all I need to say right now.
Mr. Chair, Chief Williams is on and available.
Okay, good. So all the board is now on. All right, the first petition that we are going to hear tonight is 2101. The petition of Jonathan and Kimberly Rodriguez, 19 Albert Avenue, Brockton, Mass, for a variance to convert a single-family home into a multifamily home in an R1C zone located at 19 Albert Avenue. Is the petitioner ready?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Jonathan Rodriguez. My wife, Kimberly, is sitting right next to me. Put in this petition, noticing the special condition of the property is the basement is not on the ground. And as you can see from the letters we provided, our request, we made sure that we were working with the community, and our request is of no harm to the public interest with those signed letters. We bought the property about 6 months ago with an existing studio already established downstairs, which was never rented because it was found to be unsafe, among other things. We noticed that we are very close to an R3 and also fairly close to an R2 zone, which makes it appear that the permitted purpose is becoming multifamily, whereas every house on our side of the street is currently a multifamily and on smaller lots. We have the largest lot on our street and believe the property meets the conditions to provide another home for a family in Brockton. It can be seen in our plans that we provided in front of you. We are not looking to expand the existing structure, only to finish the basement and create a second fully functional unit. The only construction that will happen on the outside will be the addition of more parking spots, even though we are nearby the T station. Because of the large size of the lot, it will not affect the required amount of green space either. And if you have any questions, we have both the architect and engineer here as well, and be happy to answer your questions.
Any questions from the board members? You are asking for relief from the ordinances under the guise of a variance. And in order to have a variance granted, you need to show a hardship at the location. Can you explain to the board what your hardship is for this location?
Well, with it showing the other houses on our side of the street all being multifamily, by us not being allowed to do that, I feel like we wouldn't be allowed to use the property for our permitted purpose.
I would like to add that we bought the property just like how it is right now, and it had an existing studio downstairs. which my husband mentioned. It was never rented because we found out that it was unsafe. So
For the building inspector, what do we need for a lot here? We need at least 10,000 square feet.
Is if it's R2 zone require 10,000 square feet for 2 units.
Right, so they need 10 and they got 8128.
That, Mr. Chair, that's a 2, if there was an R2, they're indicating that's an R1C zone, so that would be a 1-family zone.
Right, but if it was a 2-family, it would need 10,000.
In an R2 zone, it would.
That's correct. Yeah, I understand that. Any other questions from the board?
The petitioner, the properties abutting your property, are they 1 or 2 family? Are they 1 family or multi-family dwellings on either side?
Well, we just want to make it a 2-family, not multi units.
The properties abutting your property. Properties abutting your property, are they single family or multi-family?
Directly next to us is a multifamily.
On both sides?
all our side of the street.
Yeah, on our direct side of the street, all houses are multifamily except for ours.
Mhm.
And then there are,
They're on the end of the street, just to clarify that a little bit. That's why they're saying just one side.
Thank you.
Are you aware that the parking in the rear needs to be 180 square feet per unit for each car? You've got 9 by 18, it should be 10 by 18. All right.
Patrick is on here too.
Any other questions from any board members? Yeah.
We have plenty of space to adjust the parking, sir, if that becomes a condition or something that you want to hold us to. We have plenty of space back there. We can adjust the parking. Just an oversight.
Yeah, I just want to bring that out to your attention.
Nope, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Did you say that there is a unit in the basement right now?
Yes, it is.
It was an existing studio when we purchased the home.
Has it been rented in the past?
Not by us.
They can't find out. They bought the house, purchased it with an existing unit down there to find out that they, after buying the house, obviously with everything going on now in COVID, these deals go through quick. And then they found out that it wasn't legal. So now they can't rent it and they're pursuing the opportunity to rent it, seeing as that's kind of why they purchased the house and like the location and everything. So that's kind of the process we're going through now.
So that existing basement unit down there appears to have only one means of egress and access into that cell.
Correct, but it's the basement grade drops off pretty deep, really well around the whole house. So it has one egress door, plenty accessible egress through windows as needed.
All right, any other questions from the board? We good? I'm going to close that portion of the hearing, open up to public discussion. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor?
Hi, I would like to speak in favor.
Go ahead. Identify yourself, ma'am, and go ahead.
Yes, so my name is Loretta Miner, and I live very close to Albert Ave. I live at 310 Court Street.
And you want to speak in favor of this?
I do want to speak in favor of it. A lot of this is,
Where is your house in relation to Gardner Avenue and the cemetery?
My house is on the corner I own the corner lot on 310 Court Street. My husband and I are present here, by the way, so he's talking too. So I'm on the corner lot where Court Street, and is it Parker Ave?
Parker Street.
Parker Street. So it's a fairly big lot as well. So we are like right across the street from Albert Ave.
Okay, so you're not in a direct abutter to this property then?
No, I'm not in a
Neighbor.
direct abutter to it.
Yep.
I'm a neighbor.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor? Nobody there, Mr. Clerk?
Just checking. No, Mr. Chair, there is no additional hands raised.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition? Anyone indicating they want to speak?
Negative, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected officials that want to speak on the issue?
None are indicating their wish. There's no one here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. I am now going to open it up for deliberations from the board. Board members.
Just 2 points, and would take this as you will. I mean, it's a small property, and I don't see the hardship as fulfilling the requirements of size, shape, and topography. Just a point I'd like to mention.
Yes, I was going to make the same. This is Steve. I was going to make the same point that it doesn't meet the standard of hardship.
I didn't hear any hardship relative to the location other than the fact that they apparently bought the house thinking that it was a two-family and it wasn't. But that doesn't meet the definition of a hardship. Any other comments from the board?
Make a motion to grant.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to grant. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lanus,
No?
Mr. Bernard,
No.
Chief Williams,
No.
Mr. Pina,
No.
Chair Galligan.
No.
Mr. Chair, that's 0 in the affirmative, 5 in the negative.
None in the affirmative, 5 in the negative. The petition is denied.
Do we have an opportunity to appeal, sir?
Yes, you will.
Okay.
You can check with the building department and they'll explain to you the process of doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next petition, 2102, the petition of Clementine M. Macrina, 49 Keswick Road, Brockton, Mass, for a variance from section 27.9, 27.13a, 27.14 to divide the property into 3 lots and making lots 2 and 3 buildable in an R1C zone located at 49 Keswick Road.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to mention before you start this, that the procedure for many lots is that each lot is supposed to have their own variance. Just want to make that point.
Mr. Chairman, I'm attorney Matthew Costa, present on behalf of my client Clementine Macrina. May I proceed?
Yes, you may proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. So again, my name is Matthew Costa. I'm an attorney from the law firm of Gay PC in Taunton, 73 Washington Street, on behalf of my client Clementine M. Macrina. And I also would like to ask, Mr. Chairman, do the board members have the plans and other materials I submitted, or should I share my screen to show those things to the board?
All the board members should have the plot plan. Do the board members have it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I will just describe the plan and I won't ask to share the screen. So my client, Clementine Macrina, she's owned this property at 49 Keswick Road since 1958. She's owned and occupied that property as her home since that time. And so she's lived there and owned the property since before, I believe, the city of Brockton adopted its zoning ordinance, which I believe occurred in 1965. Her proposal is that she is seeking the necessary variances to divide her parcel of land into 3 lots as shown on the submitted plan. So proposed lot 1 would contain 14,000 square feet of lot area and contain her existing dwelling, which is a single-story, single-family ranch style home, which is kind of a typical home of the neighborhood, which consists mostly of, I would say, single-family ranch style dwellings from that time period. Her property, it extends from Keswick Road to Marsden Street. And so she's proposing to divide her property to create lot 1 that I described, and then proposed lot 2 and lot 3 will have frontage on Marsden Street, and they will each have 7,000 square feet of lot area. And so the petitioner concedes that these lots are smaller than what's required according to the Brockton zoning ordinance for the R1C zoning district, which requires 30,000 square feet of lot area. So if we sort of ignored the context of the neighborhood, we would say these lots are, severely undersized. However, the reason for this proposal is that in the context of Mrs. Macrina's neighborhood, and not just her immediate block, but the neighborhood more generally. And I submitted copies of printouts from the assessors maps to sort of justify this representation, that the lots that she's proposing are extremely similar to other lots throughout the neighborhood. So if you see in the materials I submitted, even these 7,000 square foot lots, they're more or less the same as lots along Marsden Street, Keswick Road, Bourne Street, and looking at the neighborhood sort of like extending even further out, that they're similar to lots all Burwell Street, Winter Street, Lynn Road. And so my client, she's resided in this neighborhood since 1958. She's personally observed, the construction of single family homes on lots very similar to what she's proposing during that entire time period. When she bought the land, she could have done this by right. And, at the time, her property, if she had proposed this, if this was done in 1958 or 1960, it would have, not required a variance. She didn't have the foresight to create a trust to put, separate lots into different, trusts or some other mechanism to preserve these rights that she would have had at the time. And so, all these years later, she's proposing basically to create these lots that are more or less the same, smaller than what zoning requires in the R1C district overall, but very similar to what, exists in the neighborhood. And in terms of unique circumstances, if you do look at the assessor's map, you'll see that her lot as it is much larger than all the other lots on her block, and it's larger than really the other single family house lots, you know, just more or less throughout the neighborhood. So due to those unique circumstances, you know, her lot having frontage on two separate streets, you know, her having frontage in her backyard, which is, you know, more difficult to be aware of and monitor than, you know, the front yard area that her house is close to. Her proposal is to divide the lot as shown on the submitted plan. And this plan was also approved as a preliminary subdivision by the planning board, which I just mentioned for the board's reference. And just one final comment also is that no setback variances are requested for lots 2 or 3. So those lots can be built upon without building any closer to abutting properties than what's allowed. So she would be able to comply with setbacks to build single family homes on lots 2 and 3.
Okay, you're asking for a variance to divide that lot into 3 lots, and can you just explain once again, if you haven't already, to the board what the hardship is on this particular piece of property? Other than what you're saying is larger than the other lots that are in the neighborhood. Is there something unique about this piece of property?
I think that is, you know, that along with the frontage on 2 streets, that maybe if there were homes built actually fronting on Marsden Street, you know, we believe it would be beneficial to the neighborhood and, you know, an overall improvement. But in terms of a hardship, I think what I described to the board is basically what the circumstances are.
Okay, any questions from the board? So this lot was developed when that whole area up there was developed back in the late 50s. It's a through lot that goes between 2 streets. The existing dwelling that's on Keswick Road appears to at some point had an addition put on the back of the house. It looks newer than the original house. So when they put that addition on, there was no need for any problems with setback because there was no property line behind that house. There was plenty of room to put an addition on the back. So now, by what you're proposing, that addition is only going to be 14.7 feet off of the rear property line. Am I following that correctly?
Yes, you are correct, sir.
So you're going to need a variance for a rear yard setback for that addition to the proposed new line. The other thing that's not shown on here is to the left of the existing dwelling, number 49. There appears to be an addition that was put on there, and there's no dimension between the side of that garage or whatever the addition was to the property line. Do you have any idea what that is?
That specific dimension, I can't say, but we're not affecting that existing condition.
You're more than 15 feet?
Well, my point is the dwelling will not create, that dimension won't change.
Mm-hmm.
But we did ask for the variance for the rear setback. That was one of the items of relief mentioned in the petition.
I notice many of the lots in the neighborhood up there are 100-foot frontage and larger. So the 70-foot lot is not really in conformance with all of the lots in that neighborhood. Most of them are in the area of 100 feet. Also, is there any particular reason why you did not submit any site plan for the houses that are proposed to be built there, or perhaps a rendition of what's going to go there? That would have been very helpful to the board. Where the driveway locations are going to be, is there going to be a deck on the back of the houses? It would have been helpful for the board to get a feel for the type of house that was going to go in there.
The reason we didn't submit a rendition is because we don't have a design for the house itself. And so I would just represent that it would be a single family home. It would comply with setbacks.
Okay, so the idea is just she's selling the property and somebody's going to buy it and put their own house up there. That's the idea.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, any other questions from board members? Now I'm going to open up to public discussion. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor?
No one's raising their hand, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition?
No one's raising their hand, Mr. Chair.
Did we get any correspondence from any of the neighbors relative to this property?
I'm not aware of any. I will check with my recording secretary. One moment. No, we have not.
Okay, very good. I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is any public official want to speak on the issue?
None have raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. I'm going to now open it up for deliberation of the board. Board members, any comments?
As a matter of the discussion, if the hardship is in question to me. The size, shape, and topography of the lot may pass muster. The fact that it fronts on two streets may pass the hardship muster. I'm asking my fellow board members, are we not creating a hardship by allowing two undersized lots on Marsden? The petition certainly would be in favor of the present owner of the property, and may not even derogate from the orderly.
He's muted.
But are we in fact creating a hardship knowingly by allowing two undersized lots? What do you think?
I think you bring up some good points. Just want to let you know our thinking with the planning board. I'm looking at the city's GIS map right now, and as you head down Marsden Street on the same side of the street, we see frontages of 50, 50, 50, 83, 83, 74. So they're all fairly small lots, and the lots proposed, I don't think derogate from the development of the neighborhood. They don't derogate from the existing conditions of the neighborhood. I think Mr. Bernard brought up some good points about the hardship and in creating two undersized lots. But from the planning board standpoint, we didn't look at it as derogating from the neighborhood based on the lot's conformity with other lots in the neighborhood.
Thanks for that, Mr. Pena.
Well, apparently when this development was laid out up off of Winter Street, this lot ended up in the configuration that it's in. It's been that way since 1958. And it was laid out as a through lot between the two streets. It is what it is, and that's the way it was laid out in the original layout of that whole Campanelli project up there. So I guess my concern is also creating two undersized lots. And the relief from the setback, I'm just concerned that the house that's there right now at number 49 is only going to be less than 15 feet from the back property line. and they need a minimum of probably 30 feet.
I think there would be less issue if those two lots were combined into one lot and they were subdividing into just two lots. But I think right now, the two small lots, it creates just three non-conforming lots.
Right, you're taking a lot that's nearly conforming and making it much more non-conforming. I'm just disappointed that we don't have any idea of what's going to go there. Most of what we're looking at lately on these lots is a two-story colonial with 4 bedrooms. That seems to be what a lot of these developers are doing now. A lot of the houses in the area up there are a single-family 1 or 1.5 story, and I'm just concerned with the size of the lot, what it is and where they're going with it. So, any other comments from the board? Any questions?
If I may,
No,
Mr.
that your portion is done.
Okay,
This is strictly the board.
excuse me.
So if there's any thoughts on the board, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to grant?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to grant. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lanus,
No.
Mr. Bernard,
No,
Chief Williams,
No.
Mr. Pina,
No.
Chair Galligan.
No.
Mr. Chair, that's 0 in the affirmative, 5 in the negative.
No votes in the affirmative, 5 in the negative. The petition is denied.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. The next petition, 2103, the petition of Raymond Turner, 60 Baltic Avenue, Brockton, Mass, for permission to have kennel license with residential boarding, training, and commercial use in an R1C zone located at 60 Baltic Avenue. This is a commercial use in a residential neighborhood. This would fall into a category of a variance. Is the petition ready?
Mr. Chair, I don't see any indication that the appellant is here.
I see him right there. On my screen is pictures right below mine.
How are you?
Here it is. Good evening.
Good evening.
I read your case already. We're ready to hear your petition, so you can address the board on what you're looking for.
Okay, great.
Please identify yourself first.
My name is Raymond Turner. I'm the owner of 60 Baltic Ave. Unto the board members, chairman, fire chief, any citizens and neighbors. Thanks for having me. I am a dog trainer here in Brockton. I've been operating my business for about going on 8 years. I work with basic obedience all the way up to advanced obedience and work with a lot of troubled dogs that a lot of trainers turn away. I do private lessons in-home and outdoors lessons in different areas. And I also do residential boarding trains to be able to work with dogs that have a little bit more extreme cases, separation anxiety, COVID dogs, these type of things that are going on, dogs that are struggling with socialization. So I am looking to have permission to have folks come and drop off to my home for their dogs, which will be staying for my basic program, which is a 2-week program, to go over their obedience. The dogs that stay with me live like my dog. They're in your basic home crate and kennel. They have access to walks and exercise, and of course training. And I try to do one dog a week would be the goal, to have one dog on premise for that training with the residential boarding. So, I'm appearing in front because I would like to have that permission to do that in my home versus having a outdoor facility, so to speak. Part of what makes the program tick is that it does work and operate in the house. I try to make it as real as it's gonna be when the dogs return home. So they're socialized with my family, my kids, which are 5 and 3 years old, neighbors, and folks around. So when they go back home, they really lived it versus a sort of like a padded kennel. So this is why I want to operate it out of my home, and I'm asking for that permission to be able to use the space. I've submitted some of the areas in which I keep the dogs. You'll see my mudroom area is there where I keep the dogs. I have my outdoor area separated into 3 different areas of the yard where the dogs can get out and roam as well, and where I do some of the training. And then I have an area in the basement as well, which is a training area where I keep some of the crates for the dogs. I also included what I use for intake form as well, to understand the dogs that I'm working with, their licenses and tags that are needed as well, to be able to do that. And then some of my background as far as care and handling of dogs. Thank you, Chairman. That's all I have for this moment.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions from the board?
How many dogs did you say you would have? You propose to have?
I would like to have 4 dogs a month.
How many at one time?
2 at a time. That would be overnight. That would be doing a boarding.
At any one time in a 24-hour period, how many would be on premises at one time?
2.
I noticed you have a pretty extensive background here in dog training, and you were served from the dog officer with a cease and desist notification. And obviously that's why you're before us tonight, because of that notification from him. So I haven't heard why this operation needs to take place in a residential area.
Well,
explain why this wouldn't be done in a commercial area?
Yes, sir. So part of the residential program that I have and operate is just for that. I'm working with family dogs, and as much as it would, seem to be deemed like a kennel of some sorts, and I know when a lot of folks think of a kennel, they're thinking of dogs barking and running around wild. Well, I'm not training for that. I'm training for what people are looking for in their home, what the neighbors are expected of their dog. So having them in this environment is very helpful to training. You know, not a lot of barking is going on with training dogs that, you know, like, hey, I don't want my dog to bark at everything, the mailman that comes by, the UPS guy, all those things. So having it in a residential environment, we get to experience more of what it's going to be like real time. So when the dog goes home, counter surfing, you know, begging for food, you know, these type of things, you know, wanting to chase the kids in the backyard. So these are the things that we're experiencing. So in my experience, I find that the residential program works much better than, you know, a facility, so to speak, where I would have to also think about a way of leaving the dogs overnight, uncared for, in a place, maybe by camera view or something like that. But most of the times they're uncared for a small window of time.
How long has this business been going on at this location?
I've been in business as a dog trainer for 8 years. I've been doing board and train since 2015.
Are neighbors permitted to comment?
Yeah. The question was, how long have you been doing this business at this location?
2015, 5 years.
Are neighbors permitted to comment?
Not yet.
Thank you.
Hold on, I'll bring you up. Was there any reason why you did not submit to us a plot plan that would show the layout of the property and where everything is located on this property?
Yes, I was advised by the woman in the building department that for this type of licenses, I did not need to do that. And as I was going through the application again, I asked the second and third time, and I was referred back to her again, and she said I did not need that for this.
Very good. Any other questions from the board?
I just want to reiterate something. So, in the course of your operations, how much of your work actually takes place in your client's home as opposed to yours?
I do about 40% is board and train, and then the rest is one-on-ones.
And that's in the client's home?
Correct. And then group lessons as well are held outdoors.
And you'd never have more than 2 dogs in your house at one time?
Correct.
So for any business, we are usually concerned about hours of operation. Here we are in a residential zone, and you're running a business. It would be a concern of mine if as to what hours during the day or hours of operation should I expect that existing next door to me. Do you understand that question?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And part of that is, you know, eliminating the access. So I'm not doing a lot of drop off or people coming by my place for business. Is to drop their dog off for that 2 weeks of time, and then they're not seen until the designated time where they will come in and then pick up their dog, which is generally, if I'm trying to do it, it's on a Sunday or Wednesdays between the hours of 12 and 5.
And the noise, the concern about noise and safety, where you have animals that you're training behaviorally, will you be?
I'm sorry, I think the last part cut out. Will you be?
Steve, the last part cut out.
Where there is a concern of noise during after business hours. And there might be a concern of safety where you're training animals that need to be trained for one disobedient reason or another. How can we be assured that, how can they be assured not be disturbed in their residential home?
Absolutely. That's my first concern as a dog owner myself. I mean, as much as I love dogs, I don't like to hear anybody else's dog barking, or making any type of ruckus. So that's a priority of mine, to make sure that there isn't any extreme barking. In fact, neighbors have called me and asked how can they quiet their dog down, and they don't hear any dogs on my end, because I pride myself in not being a hassle to the neighbors at any given time for any barking or extreme noise coming from the dogs. So that's one area. Like, I have people that come in apartment buildings, where their dog is whining anxiously or barking, and they need to have that stopped, or they're gonna have to be kicked out of their home, right? So I'm able to help them and work through that and keep my home and area at bay from that noise as well that will affect my neighbors.
Have you ever had any dogs escape from this location?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had a dog actually in October escape. I had some serious damage done this past summer with the trees here in Brockton that fell all over the place, and damaged up my yard on several ends. And I had a dog who chewed out of an area of my fence and got loose. That was the first dog I ever had, including my own, get any type of get loose from the premises.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from board members? Now I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. I'm going to open it up for public discussion. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor?
That would be my turn.
Yes, sir. Please identify yourself.
My name is John. I am a neighbor. Let me see, I can send out a quick. In fact, I was surprised to hear that he actually had a dog run away. I did not know that. I put out my chat. I live across the street, and he keeps a very clean and neat business. No loud barking. Final product appears to be well-mannered. I have never seen him go down the street with like a whole bunch of dogs at one time barking and yowling. When he trains the dog, he trains on his property, except for maybe the walking portion. That part I don't follow. Personally, as I commented, if he maintains his business the way it's been, I have no problems with it whatsoever. I kind of can be fussy when it comes to noises and all that. Especially
Where do you live, sir?
57 Baltic. It's in the chat, sir.
57 Baltic?
Yes, sir. Baltic Avenue.
So you're further down the street?
No, I'm kind of diagonal across the street.
Okay, by the curve?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Very good, thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor?
Hello, yes, I'm in favor.
Please identify yourself.
I'm Lindsey Kelley. I live at 349 Field Street. I've known Ray for about 4 years. As a neighbor, I can see from my backyard, I can see his backyard. We're not like directly connected, but I've never had a problem with any dogs barking. He's also helped me train my own dog. And he's a great business owner. He keeps his yard nice and tidy and clean. Again, I never hear any barking. So I would be in favor of him getting this approval.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor?
Hi, I'm his direct neighbor. Our yard connects. Never had any problems. Never had any problems. I don't even hear the dogs. I see him sometimes outside in his front yard, training his dogs with their owners, and it's been absolutely wonderful.
What is your name, Tim?
Jackie.
Jackie?
I live at 60. Excuse me. I live at 56 Baltic Ave.
56 Paul. Okay,
56, right next door.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor? If not, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition?
Mr. Clerk, Mr. Chair, I do not see any.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any public official that wants to be heard on this issue?
Mr. Clerk, I do not see any public official online.
I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. I'm going to open it up now for discussion by the board members. Deliberations.
I think over the past year or so, we've had a number of these kennel licenses come up. I think what makes this one different is that there's a limited number of dogs that'll be on the property at any one time, and it's not set up to be a boarding operation or a rescue operation like we've had before. I think the bulk of his work is actually takes place off site in the actual client's homes. But when you are training dogs to live in apartments, I understand that they have to be somewhat in a controlled environment when the owner isn't there. I think that those things make this application very different from the other kennel license applications we've gotten, because this doesn't seem like the traditional kennel operation.
I did notice on the photos that were submitted that inside the dwelling there are multiple cages. He did say that he would not have more than 2 dogs at any one time. But I do see that. And the other thing to consider, I think, is the fact that he advertises and people are contacting him from different locations. He's advertising this business, and he may be running a good intent business. But when you look at the photos of the yard and the neighborhood, it's a residential neighborhood, and he is running a commercial boarding and training kennel. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we could not get the report that we normally do from the dog officer. But if you look at your package, it is a commercial boarding and training operation in a residential neighborhood.
Chairman, if I could just speak on that.
Sorry,
if I could just.
Sorry, you're done.
Oh, okay. All right.
Quickly for the board. Any other comments from the board members?
I was very pleased with the professionalism of the applicant. He's obviously well trained in his profession, and answered the questions very appropriately to the concern of the commercial business in a residential zone. That is in essence why he's before us making an appeal, and to my satisfaction, I would make a motion to grant his appeal.
I would second that with the stipulation that no more than 2 client dogs be on premises at any one time.
accept those stipulations for my remote.
Okay, on the motion, I have failed to hear a hardship as to why this needs to be taking place at this location, other than the fact that he says he would like to train the dogs in a family setting. But other than that, we haven't heard anything that would support that. So there's a motion made and seconded with a stipulation that there shall be no more than 2 dogs maximum at any one time on the site. Is that what your motion is?
2 client dogs on site at any one time, correct?
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. With that stipulation, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Lanus,
Yes.
Mr. Bernard,
Yes,
Chief Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Pina,
Yes.
Chief Galligan.
No.
Mr. Chair, that is 4 in the affirmative and 1 in the negative.
Okay, the vote is 4 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The petition is granted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Okay, the next petition is 2104. The petitioner Gary Losowitz, care of 1325 Belmont Street, Brockton, Mass. Or a variance from Article 3, Section 27.9 and 27.13A to construct a single-family home, or a determination under Section 27.12 that the lot is buildable by right in an R1C zone located 33 Ridge Street, formerly part of 25 Ridge Street.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney John McCluskey representing Gary Losowitz. As board members probably know, Mr. Losowitz has been building homes in the city of Brockton for 30 to 35 years, has an excellent reputation, builds a nice home, and I've never heard of any complaints or any issues with regard to his building over the years. In this particular case, members, Mr. Losowitz, in working out his plan for the year and how he builds houses and his scheduling, he put this property at, the property is now known as 33 Ridge Street, formerly part of 25 Ridge Street. He put the property under agreement back in the fall. In doing so, he tried to do his due diligence in determining whether or not this was a buildable lot. As you know, over the many, many years, builders and people interested in seeking permits have gone to the building department seeking a buildable lot determination. And by ordinance, there's a fee. It's a very modest fee and probably needs to be changed. And I think that's underway. The building department would make a determination after looking at title matters and certain specific facts, whether or not the lot was buildable. In this particular case, since February, you've probably seen the letter from Mr. Plouffe, February 28, 2020, basically saying, we're not doing those buildable lot determinations anymore. You sort of have to take your chances and figure it out on your own. Quite frankly, I've been representing people in the city for many, many years, and no fault to Mr. Plouffe, but I think that the city needs to take a different attitude with regard to people like this, and to work with them and to try to make it work, especially where Mr. Losowitz has been a good partner to the city for over 30 years. In any event, he said, all right. And after speaking, by the way, with an out-of-town lawyer who was representing the seller, he was assured that by the lawyer that it was a buildable lot. I can understand why the lawyer felt that it was a buildable lot, and I'll get into that in a moment. In any event, Mr. Losowitz was not able to get his buildable lot determination, so he wrote some checks to the city and spent about $8,500 in building permit fee, water and sewer connection fees. He had his engineering and his energy rating analysis required by the building department. Total was exactly $8,455. Shortly after filing the building permit application and paying the fees, which he hasn't been returned, he quickly received essentially a determination by the building department saying, your lot is not buildable for a multiple of reasons, and I've attached the letter dated October 26, 2020 to the application as well. The area, so basically, I guess I'm sort of saying, gee, I wish it could have happened a little differently, and we need to help builders who have been good business partners to the city through this process. And we all know that the Brockton zoning ordinance is not an easy ordinance to understand. There have been many exceptions to things over the years, and it's been applied differently in different situations. In the present case, I've asked the board to consider this matter in two levels, if you will. One, as you know, we have section 2712 of the ordinance, which basically says that if you have a lot of record, and the record means recorded on the registry of deeds, if you have a lot of record and it's not adjacent to vacant land, then it is, and I know we're not supposed to use this word anymore, it's grandfathered under the ordinance. As a prior non-conforming lot, it would be a buildable lot. So the first thing I'm asking you is to consider that as to whether or not relief could be granted to give this gentleman a determination that it's a lot of record already. The reason being is that it shows on, I've submitted the plan of house lots on Bellevue Park goes back to 1890. It was recorded in the plan book number 1, page 76 or 78 in the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds. So it is a lot of record. There's been litigation over this over the years, several different outcomes. One where you have a running description. The court has said that in fact they've been merged. 2, where you have identified separate and distinct lots, then those can be determined to be buildable lots. Here we have sort of a mismatch of both. There was a running description, and in fact, the lots in each deed have been identified as being lots of record. This one being lot number 519 on the Bellevue Park plan recorded at the Registry of Deeds. The other thing that the assessor, this lot in question used to be known as Plot 48. So when the road was laid out and the lots were laid out, this lot did exist way back when. I have also submitted to you records from the assessor's office that indicate that lot 48 was retired and merged into lot 49. I don't see anywhere, sometimes you see the reasoning. Sometimes people say, I don't want to pay the taxes on it, but there's nothing that I could glean from the records to indicate that it was why it was retired. But in any event, it was not only a lot of record, it was an assessor's lot on record in the city of Brockton. So for those reasons, I'd ask that the board make a determination that this is a 2712 lot and buildable by right. Switching to argument number two, this is a variance case in that I'm seeking to have the board grant a variance for frontage and lot size. This lot is 7,800 square feet, 60 feet of frontage, 125 feet in depth. The home that's to be proposed to be constructed is 28 by 36, single family, 4-bedroom wood frame structure, meeting all of the required setbacks of frontage, side yard setback, and rear yard. The lot is similar to other lots. It's very similar in nature to just about every other lot in the neighborhood. The home is set back probably more so, especially, for example, on house number 25 right next door. That's very close to the street, and this would be 30, I think it's 34 feet back. So it would sit well on the lot, be sufficient parking, and it would be a nice home and a nice improvement to the property. Part of the hardship is that the owner certainly felt that because of the way that the lot had been kept vacant, that it was in fact a buildable lot. In fact, if it turns out that it's not a buildable lot, then unfortunately she sold the house next door, and that would have created a violation of the Brockton ordinances. So we've got a problem that we're trying to fix essentially by granting this variance. You've effectively blessed the sale of 25 Ridge Street, because 25 Ridge Street and this lot were merged into one assessor's lot. So there's an issue with the guy next door that bought his house last year, or perhaps in 2019. I don't know, haven't got that information immediately in front of me. The other hardship is that, Mr. Losowitz is now out of pocket a considerable amount of money, so that's a financial hardship on himself. And he's a builder. He's not an attorney, and he reached out and thought he was doing the right thing. Tried to get the determination from the city of Brockton, and was unable to do so. So he took his chances, and thinking, in fact, that it was a buildable lot. One of the reasons, by the way, that one of the alleged reasons why the buildable lot determinations aren't done anymore is that Mr. Plouffe indicates that they're not appealable. Well, in fact, they are appealable. They were appealable. I've appealed a number of them over the 30 or 40 years that I've been doing this work before the board. So the old system did work. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for Mr. Losowitz in this particular case, and I'm simply asking the board to perhaps fix the problem. I think there's sufficient hardship here, and to let him move forward, especially where this lot was used to be a lot that you could build on by right any old time over the years. The house fits well on the lot. It's got a nice farmer's porch effect to it, and I think Mr. Losowitz, and I'm sure he will, do an excellent job, as he's always done over the years. So we'd ask for the board's consideration in this, and appreciate your listening to me.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Attorney McCluskey, I can understand why some of these, someone would consider buildable, because looking at the city's GIS map, the dimensions you're proposing are exactly the same dimensions of 9 other lots in the immediate area. But what I see is where the lot next door, which we're creating another non-conforming lot because there's only 6 feet or 7 feet side setback. on number 25 by creating this.
The lot at 25, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's interestingly enough, that has parcel 49 actually is a part of 49 and 50. That if you look to the left, you'll see there's I don't know, 20 or 30 feet that were added on to parcel 49. There's been a lot of the lines have moved a lot on Ridge Street over the years up there. It's not the I think they had their own zoning office up in on that street. But you know, I understand what happened here, and we're really looking for the board's sincere consideration of how to fix this problem.
Steve, you want? I saw Steve's name come up. Is Steve on, Mr. Clerk?
I didn't.
He's on, but it seems like he's having difficulty.
Steve, are you on with us?
Steve Bernard is on, yes.
Okay, did you have a comment to make?
No, I didn't.
Okay, yeah, I saw your name come up. Any other board member want to comment? I'll just make a couple of comments here that if you research the deeds that go back to at least 1950 on this lot, this piece of property, this parcel was 180 feet on frontage and 130 feet deep. On the deeds, the deed describes all of the lots as one mets and bounds. At some point, the owner of this property sold off 35 feet from lot 50, plot 50, to the adjacent neighbor, which now left that lot piece of land with 25 feet left of 50 that now was part of what remained of 50, and then 49 and 48. So the deed originally encompassed all three of these parcels. A portion of parcel number 50 was sold off, so that the frontage then was reduced to I think 145 feet, whatever the number was there. So the deed actually describes those new lots, and parcel number 48 was retired with parcel number 50. They were all combined into parcel 49. The part of parcel 50 was sold off, so it made the whole 180 feet of frontage a smaller number. Now the house that sits on number 49 is only a little over 6 feet off of the property line. If lot 48 was built upon, they are now creating a hardship for lot 49 because it now intrudes. They've got to have a 15-foot setback if they create lot 48. So the problem here is multi, in that it appears to me that lot 48 was part of lot 49 and lot 50. And we went through all this when we looked at the situation that we had on Carlin Road, where an old map showed 3 lots. When it was sold in the deed, it referenced the mets and bounds, and the judge ruled that even though an old map might show 3 separate lots, if the deed is the determining factor that determines that whoever purchased this property purchased 1 lot. So some of the other facts that came with this case, I don't think pertain to this case. I think, in due respect to the attorney, he was referencing lots that had another building that were built upon them. And the judge there ruled that a lot that had a deed that was built upon became a standalone lot. In this case, there's nothing that's built on this. This is raw land. And the way I read the deed, whoever owned this property owned those 3 plots and then sold off a portion of it and actually reduced the size of it. And if you read the deed, I think there's a mistake in the deed because the running nets for the front of the property don't add up. But irregardless of that, my concern is that we have one plot here that was partially divided, and I didn't see what I'll direct this question to the attorney. The hardship on this parcel, this number 48. Could you explain to the board again exactly what your hardship is on that piece of property?
On 48, well, first of all, if you take the position that that you have that they've merged, which it obviously merged at some point, and then it was separated, and then what would be the remainder of lot 49 and 50 was sold. So now you have a vacant parcel of land with nowhere to go, so to speak. It's what I would call, and I've used this term before in the Board of Appeals, it's an orphaned lot at this point. And I don't think it was done with any intention to violate the letter of the law. I think it was done perhaps by mistake, or at least without, had Gary come to me, and before this all happened, I would have said, listen, we need to take this to the Board of Appeals and get some clarification. But I think what you end up with now is a vacant lot that has little value, that it's just going to sit there and it's going to become an orphan lot. The hardship will be that it will get overgrown. It will become an eyesore. And most likely, it wouldn't surprise me, it'll be owned by the city through a tax taking. Now, I can't speak for the current owner, and I don't mean to malign her in any way. I'm sure she pays her taxes just like anybody else. But after a while, you get to the point of saying, well, I can't do anything with this lot, and so an orphan lot becomes a problem to the city. That's another hardship. It's a hardship on the neighborhood. It's a hardship on the owner.
So apparently what happened here is they created a new deed for lot 48. And that deed
using 519 as the description.
Yeah, well, I call it 48, but 519 is okay. That's 60 by 130. So even though the original deed had all that area encompassing one lot, they took it upon themselves to separate out that lot and create a deed. So that lot number 48 right now is a deed, but it was not a buildable lot prior to what they did.
And by the way, and interestingly enough, the assessor is now creating an assessor's lot for that lot 48. So it's going to be separately taxed and handled that way. I agree with you. I think if it had come to my desk and somebody wanted to do this, I think what I would have said to the owner is, hey, we better, let's create a plan. Let's go to the Board of Appeals, ask for this to be divided. And I've come before the board before saying, hey, this used to be a lot. Now let us have a lot back because it merged into another lot. And, so it merged into another lot, and let us come back and make it a buildable lot. And the board has, in that situation, more than once allowed my clients to do that. I can't think of the street or the location, but I know I've come before the board seeking that relief and it's been granted. Now we're in a situation of, we did something wrong. I didn't do anything wrong, but they didn't understand it, and they said, yeah, lot 519, that looks like a buildable lot. Let's carve that out. I can't tell you how many times I've seen closings where I've done titles where I've seen that happen. And, the out of town lawyers don't have a clue. And their clients are relying on them saying, is this right? Is this the right thing to do? I know Nancy Doyle would not willingly or knowingly violate zoning in the city of Brockton. She was actually mortified when she heard that this was not a buildable lot. And
Well, what I'm trying to do here is just establish the fact that this is not a buildable lot. It was part of a larger parcel of land with a separate nets and bounds that included this lot. The petitioner or the owner of this, on their own, deeded this piece of property and recorded it in a deed. So they in fact separated it out from the original nets and bounds description of the entire property. So now there is true a lot that has a deed, but now it's still not a buildable lot without a variance.
well, that's why I'm asking for a variance. I'm pleading in the alternative. I recognize your arguments, and I'm trying to come up with a solution that's going to make this work.
Any other comments from the board? Any questions of the petitioner? If not, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. I'm going to open it up to public discussion. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor?
I'm sorry, can I say now?
Are you speaking in favor?
Yes. I'm the neighbor of the 33 Rich Street, like Mr. McCluskey is talking about.
Okay, what is your name again?
My name is Duy Trin. It's Duytrinh.
Trinh.
Yes.
Okay, what is your address?
It's 43 Rich Street, Brockton.
43 Rich.
Yes. If you see it on the map, it's like right next to.
Are you a direct abutter?
Yes.
So looking at the property, you have the house to the left.
The right. To the right.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Yes, so I have a couple concerns, like if they're about to build this house, will it be used like if there will be a business, will it involve a lot of people coming in and out? Because like my brother, he's a disability and his room is like right next to. Can I share the screens to like demonstrate it easier?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
One moment, let me change to screen sharing.
Thank you. Just tell me when I can do that, okay? All right.
Okay, you can share. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Do you guys see my screen?
Yes, I see it.
Yes. Like my house is this red one, and my brother bedroom is like right here, so you can see it's right next to like the vacant that we're talking about. So my concern is, would be there like I concern about the noise, and especially I would like to ask where the driveway is gonna be. If they build a house, they need a driveway, right? And if they have a driveway like right next to my fence right here, like there's a row of trees right there. It should make me like more concerned, because it's happened to me like last year when the 47, the Grid Street, that tree like collapsed and fall off my fall on my roof because they have the driveways like too close to the tree, and which cause a tree like no, it's not stable anymore and fall down onto my roof. That's about like concern about the safety. So
Okay, the plan shows the driveway will be on the opposite side of the lot from your house.
okay, that's great. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor?
I don't see any hands raised, Mr. Chair.
You have hands raised?
I do not.
I have a letter here that came in from Nancy Doyle. As the only above property, I hereby authorize Gary Lascelles to file a pursuant application for the board to overturn the negative building inspector in the alternative for the grant of the variance. Mr. Lascelles has this property under agreement and has spent over $8,800 to the city for permits and fees, only to be told that the lot is not buildable. This lot has been in existence as a lot of record well before Brockton zoning began and should be considered a lot of record under 2712 of the ordinance. So she's in favor. Just as a point of information, I am told that if this was denied, the city would return the funds that have been paid by Mr. Lascelles to the city for the permits. So the petitioner would not be out the $8,000 if it was denied. All right, is there anyone else that's in favor? If not, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here?
Mr. Chair, I do have a Mary that's trying to say something.
Okay.
Okay, no, she's not in favor. You can continue, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing now. Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition?
I do.
Please identify and give me your address.
Yeah, David Doyle, 56 Ridge Street. I'm about 4 houses up from that. Unbuildable lot. Problem that we have on Ridge Street, the water pressure has become very low over the past years. I've been living here since '85. At this point on Ridge Street, we can't even run like a washing machine or take a shower at the same time, or a dishwasher and a shower. The other thing that we have problems up here on Ridge Street is the water tables. There's a lot of underground springs, I guess, in this whole area. At the end of Ridge Street, there's a set of woods. Years ago, they tried to build and get a variance to build more houses. It was declined for that various reasons. Same reasons, due to the water table, disrupting water tables when people get their houses flooded up here. The other reason is that this street is a very quiet street. We're adding more and more houses in the areas. I'm noticing more and more cars coming up and down the street, especially from Burton, which is around the corner. It is a quiet street. Neighbors have always been great. I'd rather see that piece of land just stay a piece of green land at this point. Never bothered us before in the past, before Nancy Doyle, who used to own the piece of property, and then whoever owned that before, it's always been a piece of green land. It was always nice to see it here on the street. So the biggest thing is the water pressure on the street.
Okay, I have a letter that came from 33 Ridge Street. That's not you. You're 56 Ridge?
Right.
Yeah, David and Maria Doyle, 56.
Yeah, my wife, I guess, sent out a letter. I didn't, you know.
Okay, what she said in her letter basically says what you said. This neighborhood does not need another house. Our water pressure has been an issue since 1985 when we purchased the home. We can't shower on the washing machine and dishwasher at the same time. We combat water in our basement along with our neighbors when it rains heavily. Another home would have a negative effect on the water table and water pressure. Houses are being built around us in small lots, sometimes sideways or multi-level, which is harmful to our neighborhoods and environment. Please build somewhere else. Okay, that is
Thank
the
you.
concern that you have. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in opposition?
Yes, sir. I would like to speak in opposition, please. My name is Marita Bizenkauskas, and the people who own that home before on 25 Ridge Street were the Prolgowskis. We've been living in this neighborhood since 1950. And this has always been a beautiful neighborhood. Even North Carey Street, with all its busyness, has still maintained beautiful homes with nice size homes on lots. That house is right literally in my backyard. I mean, I can be sitting there in my, grilling a hamburger and hand it over the fence to the neighbor. That lot is very, very small. And as Mr. Doyle said, when they started building homes at the top of Baltic Avenue, that has changed the water table down here, even on North Carey Street. So a home like mine, which has never had a flood, once they started building, again, now we have water problems. And again, I agree with Mr. Doyle, the water pressure is a problem, but that lot is tiny. And it seems to me that there's no reason to put another home on Ridge Street. And also at the end of Ridge Street, which is near Ames, they put in a beautiful little cape, a cute little house, absolutely beautiful, but it doesn't fit in the lot because a cape, what's the beauty of a cape? Are the dormers. Okay, this house, the dormers are facing the driveway and they put a fake front door in so that they can have a front door. But the house looks silly with the dormers facing the driveway on a tiny lot. Cute house, looks silly. It seems to me that there are enough homes on Ridge Street, and I really think that we need to find other places to build. I know Mr. Losevich purchased my lot next door because we had a lot on North Carey Street, and that lot measured 100 by 140. I wanted to take 20 feet of it, but again, because of the rules, and it was already from the 1900s, the lot lines were here and there. And when my father purchased it, it was 2 lots, but then it became merged as one. And even when I wanted a variance to build next door, to just take 20 feet to add to my property, I was denied adding 20 feet to the property. So Mr. Losevich purchased the whole lot and had to only put one house in it. And that is the kind of home lots we need in Brockton. He is building homes on every tiny little postage stamp he can find. I have nothing against Mr. Losevich and Mr. McCloskey. You're talking very nicely about Mr. Losevich, but I think at this point he can continue looking at other homes. Also, just in point of fact, when I look out my dining room window, I can see at the top of Cary Hill homes they're building for $650,000. Okay, and I can see them from my window, right? So now we're building homes for $650,000, and we're trying to put homes that maybe you can fit a double-sided mobile home there. That's about it. If I wanted to build a garage, they would probably ask me for a bigger portion of land. So I'm sorry, I'm against it. Mr. Losevich, I'm sorry, but I think you can build someplace else.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in opposition?
Mr. Chair, I have some comments online I'd like to get off first before we go to the next one.
Yep.
I have a Mary Bidzakowskis, who says many of the small homes have large lots, and the home built sideways, maybe number 12, looks ridiculous. This has been a vacant piece of land, has been for many years as part of number 33, causing the rest of lot number 48 to be non-conforming. The side setback is not legal or right. She's opposed to this. And then I also have another one from her saying it's non-conforming, should not be allowed. It is non-buildable lot that is going to create 2 separate non-conforming lots. Mary Hart, Ridge Street, Brockton. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then I also have a hand raised from John's iPhone. John,
Okay,
can
go
you
ahead.
speak? But
Yeah, how you doing, sir?
Go ahead, John. Where do you live?
Me and my girlfriend currently reside at 25 Ridge Street, so right next to the lot question.
And we purchased the home in July last year.
So, yeah, I mean, we're currently still paying taxes on the land over there. You know, it was good to hear all of our neighbors. We do concur with most of, you know, everything they said, with the, especially the water pressure is really bad. You know, there was also, we had when we had the home inspection, the radon. I'm not sure if that's really a big issue. And, you know, I don't pretend to know, you know, zoning and codes and the language that you gentlemen are using. You know, aside from that, I mean, where the first gentleman spoke with the driveway, I mean, that would be like coming into our kitchen window. You know, we recently found out we're having a baby. I mean, the lot is really small, and I mean, it's exactly like the woman said. I mean, it's like a mobile home lot. I mean, it's in my opinion. I mean, I'm in construction. I understand. You know, with all due respect to the builder, you know, where people try to fit stuff in wherever they can, and I understand that the business end of it. But you know, it's my opinion. The lot's, you know, it's not buildable. If it's a matter of maintaining it. You know, I wouldn't have a problem, you know, figuring that out. And I don't know if my girlfriend say anything, but that's my brief.
No, I definitely did have, especially finding out that I am pregnant and it's a high risk pregnancy. I am concerned about radon gas being emitted if they are building next door in the grounds, because when we had our radon tests in this house, when we purchased it, it was extremely elevated and we actually had to get a mitigation system put in. So I have concerns because the lot is abutting our lot directly. You know, I want to make sure that it's on record that we're opposing it in the event that it could potentially harm us or neighbors with the radon being in the atmosphere.
So you own the house that is directly adjacent to this lot?
Yep. So that would be from the Bellevue Park lots. It would be 521 is our lot.
And that is the house that's there now?
Correct. Yeah, we're right next to it, right on it, pretty much.
Okay, and your house is only several feet from the property line. That's what we were discussing.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Grass
Very
over
good,
there.
thank you.
Yes.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak in opposition?
Mr. Chair, I don't see any other hands raised.
All right, I just have a couple here. Barbara Gregory, she writes to us to say we are in opposition. From 44 Ridge Street, I am officially in opposition to the variance request at 33 Ridge Street, formerly number 25 Ridge Street, to construct a single-family home. Having been a resident for many years, I feel that a variance would allow the new structure to be very, very close to the other adjacent residential homes. Hold on. One phone in this. I feel that a variance would allow the new structure to be very, very close to the other adjacent residential homes. Added to that issue, water pressure on our street is absolutely atrocious, as we cannot do two things at once with the pressure available. In addition, an additional home built on that small lot would only add to the pressure problem. Also, a fence marking the property line between the two addresses is not remotely legal looking in competing with neighbors. I am not submitting this opposition against progress in the city, but believe this lot is not a viable piece of property to build a home. And another one from a Hillary Knight. I am not opposed or in favor of the petition for the variance of 33 Ridge Street. I am concerned that this is a very small lot and a house on that lot doesn't seem like a good fit. I did notice that the fence for 25 Ridge Street goes right up along the house, which doesn't quite look up to code. There's also a concern about the sewer and the water pressure, which is already poor on the street. Okay, that's all I have to read. Is there any city, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any city officials that want to be heard on the issue?
Mr. Chair, I did not see any hands raised.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing, and I will now open it up for deliberation from the board. Board members.
I'd like to say, as I mentioned before, that the proposed lot is the exact same size as 9 of the lots in the neighborhood. Even people that have testified that the lot is too small, this lot is the exact same size as some of those lots, even bigger than some of them. I think that, I mean, it conforms with the neighborhood. And I know the problems with the water pressure in the area. It's not something that's going to be adversely affected by one house, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. So that's really all I have to say about this.
Any other board members want to comment? So basically, the way I'm going to make my decision on this is that all of this property was one piece of property at one point. A portion was sold off on the south end of the property, which is lot number 50. That diminished the size of lot 49, 48 out of 50. In the recent past, the owner of the home was at lot 49 sold, created a deed for lot 48. And I guess you can create a deed, but in effect, it doesn't make it a buildable lot. So in the first case, we're asked to make a determination whether or not this was a buildable lot. I don't believe that it was a buildable lot. The building inspector made the proper decision. Now, what we're faced with is the owner of number 25 created a lot by creating a deed for this lot in question, lot 48. Apparently, it's then sold off number 25, and now they've discovered that lot 48 is not a buildable lot without a variance. My concern is that a dwelling that currently exists there is only just over 6 feet off the property line, and by creating this new lot, they need a minimum of 15 feet. So they've got a problem now with lot 49, which is number 25, and they've got a problem with lot 48. That it was created by deed, but by deed, it was not created as a buildable lot. So there's several issues that are going on here. And as far as the financial situation, my information from the building inspector is that the fee, if this was not approved, the city would return the $8,500 in fees that have been put out so far on this property for permits. So I don't see that as a financial situation relative to the fees. I think the problem here is the size of the lot, and certainly in relation to the building next door that is only 6 feet off the property line. So any other comments from the board?
Motion to grant?
If somebody wants to make a motion, I think we need to do 2 motions here. One is to look at the situation that he has requested on the determination from the building inspector.
I don't think the building inspector did not make a determination. That's why we're here, correct?
Well, let's see what he's asking for. To construct a single-family home or a determination under 12 that the lot is buildable by right in R1C zone. So at some point, the building inspector told him that it was not a buildable lot, and that's why he's here tonight. So he's questioning the determination of the building inspector, and if he is unsuccessful in overturning the decision of the building inspector, in the alternative, he's looking for a variance. Now, just to clarify that, I'm going to go back to Mr. McCluskey. Am I reading that right?
Is that a question?
Yes. You're looking for two things here tonight in our vote. One is the determination of the building inspector, and in the alternative, a variance. Is that what you're looking for?
That's correct.
Yep. All right, so when a motion is made, we will be taking two votes. A determination of whether or not the petitioner is correct or the building inspector is correct. So if a board member makes a motion to grant and it is favorable, that would then overturn the decision of the building inspector and be in favor of the petitioner.
I make a motion to grant the overturning of the building inspector with the hopes that it fails.
Whoa, say that again?
I make a motion to grant the overturning of the building inspector's ruling of that it's a buildable lot, not a buildable lot, with the hopes that it fails.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. So a yes vote is in favor of the petitioner. Will the clerk please call the roll?
It needs to be seconded. I'll second that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was. Go ahead.
Mr. Lanus,
No.
Mr. Bernard,
No.
Chief Williams,
No.
Mr. Pina,
No.
Chair Galligan.
No. So
Mr. Chair, that's 0 in the affirmative, 5 in the negative.
0 in favor, 5 in the negative, so the determination of the building inspector is affirmed.
Motion to grant the petition of Gary Lotzowitz at 33 Ridge Street, formerly part of 25 Ridge Street.
So a motion has been made. Has anyone seconded to grant the variance?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to grant a variance. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lanus,
No.
Mr. Bernard,
No.
Chief Williams,
No.
Mr. Pina,
Yes.
Chief Galligan, Chair Galligan.
No.
Mr. Chair, that is 1 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative.
Okay, the vote is 1 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. The petition requesting the variance is denied.
Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, the next petition is 2105, the petition of Philip Smith, 73 Southland Terrace, Brockton, Mass, for a variance to change the home from a one-family into a two-family in an R3 zone located at 11 Brett Street.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, fellow board members. Attorney Brent Warren on behalf of the petitioner, who is the contractor on this project, and the owner, who is PMNI LLC. Larry Thomas is a member and manager who's also on the call.
Okay, can you just identify yourself once again, please?
Sure. Attorney Brent Warren.
Warren.
Warren, W-A-R-R-E-N.
Got it. Thank you. You can proceed when you're ready.
Thank you. We're here tonight. The owner of the property purchased this back in September of this prior year. Had some plans drawn up. I believe that you have copies of both the building engineering plans as well as a site plan that was submitted with the petition on this. Was looking to convert the home from a single family into a two-family, where this resides in an R3 zone. When they purchased the property, they believed that this was a as of right use. They could go in and simply file for a building permit and they would be all set. Obviously, they went in with those plans for what is a fairly modest addition to the property to make it suitable for two-family use, and that's when they were informed otherwise. So at this point, they're seeking a variance from section 27-9 for an R3 use to convert this from a single family to a two-family on a non-conforming lot. They're short on lot footage by according to the plan. There's 8,276 square feet of the lot. If you add in there's a 700 square foot easement that runs alongside it, brings it up to almost 9,000 square feet. But obviously that falls short of the 10,000 requirement in this zone. This property, with the project they have in plan for it, is going to require a large investment. They've already made a large investment into this. They're probably looking at about a $400,000 give or take all-in price to make this property habitable and in conformance with the rest of the neighborhood. And that's really one of the factors that's driving this, that surprised them immensely. As you drive up and down Brett Street, you see that all the other houses are multifamilies. They're all on lots that are, if not the exact same size, much smaller, including the house directly to the left of the house, which has two properties on it, two houses, dwellings on it, large condominiums on either side of the street. So they were shocked when they found this out, but this would not being able to convert this from a single family into a two family is going to be an extreme hardship for them at this point, because really what this house needs is, and their intention here is to get it renovated completely up to speed, looking good, and then hopefully sell it off to an owner who is going to occupy with a second floor tenant. And quite frankly, just based on the cost of houses right now in the city, everybody knows it's extremely high. The cost of doing renovations on properties, everything's expensive at this point. It's going to be a substantial outlay of money on that. So, failing to be able to turn this into a two-family will be an extreme hardship on their part.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions.
Yes, go right ahead.
Attorney Warren, when I look at this property, are you proposing that to gain access to those rear parking spots, they're going to be driving along the left side of the house? I mean, that's an extremely narrow space.
The parking would come from using the easement area on the adjoining property closer to West Elm Street. So they're going to come in off the easement, and the driveway flows in from as you're looking at the house, from the right-hand side of the property.
Okay, well, what's the width of that easement? It looks very narrow to me.
It's according to this, it's a 7-foot wide easement.
Okay, that's
and it's got the existing. It's part of a bigger driveway structure that exists there with the corner house, the corner lot.
Okay, so On the front left corner of this property where it's a driveway now, that would be turned into green space?
That is the intent of the builder, is to completely green up the property as much as possible. So from the curb, you're going to have a beautiful house that's redone, new siding, shrubberies, the works, a nice lawn space. All of the building that would be going on with this would be in the back of the building. So it's not going to change the character of the structure as you'd see it from the street. I really don't think it would really change it even from the side view all that much, the way they've intended to make this this change. And as you can see from the survey that was done, I think the square footage, the footprint increases by 1 square foot based on the design. So there's ample parking to put two families in this. It shows the 4 parking spots, 10 by 20s in the back. There's plenty of room for turnaround space. We really think that this project, this is the right neighborhood and the right house to do this, considering the nature of all the other houses, and they're all in great shape. If you drive up and down the street, Brett Street, I think is in pretty decent shape. Everybody keeps the houses up. They all look nice, and that's what this owner, when they saw the property, that's what they saw. This is great. This is the worst house in the best neighborhood. We can bring this up to snuff with the rest of them. And but the way that this has to happen is really to make it economically feasible. It needs to be a 2-family. Otherwise, I think the home's going to languish. I believe not the exact prior owner, but the previous, they had lived there forever. It's fallen into disrepair. It's like a lot of homes in Brockton, years of neglect. It needs a lot of TLC.
Yeah. So if this project was going to dress up that home, I would certainly agree. It's at this point in time, it's kind of an eyesore in the neighborhood. So,
agreed.
I think if doing this project is going to dress that property up, I think that would be a bonus.
Yes, and they have they purchased it. They have a construction financing in place. They're ready to go. They're anxious. They're very anxious to get working on this project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How many bedrooms will there be when this is built out?
Perhaps I could ask one of the, I believe we have the engineer on the call. He might be the best to answer this. Mr. Spink? See if he's available. Perhaps I could ask Mr. Thomas to jump on, or Mr. Smith, who's the general contractor.
So my question is,
Hi.
how many bedrooms do we have now?
Hi, guys. This is the owner. I'm sorry, I was on mute. I apologize for the delay response. Yes, this is the owner, and yes, it's going to be 3/3 when the property is all said and done, with 2 bathrooms in each unit.
So you're saying that there's going to be 3 bedrooms on the first floor and 3 on the second floor?
Correct.
I thought that I saw 4 bedrooms somewhere here. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, here we are, right here. Bedroom 1, 2, 3, and 4. First floor is going to be 4 bedrooms.
I'm sorry. Misspoke on that one. 4 bedrooms on the first floor, 3 bedrooms on the second floor. I'm sorry.
All right, so this house currently has 3 bedrooms. And you're going to expand it to 7, is that correct?
Currently, the house, the way it's structured, there's 3 bedrooms on the first floor and 2 upstairs. And the bedrooms on the first floor, oversized bedrooms.
All right, just bear with me here. Okay, this plan that I have says that there's 1 bedroom on the first floor and there's 3 on the second floor. And you're now going to expand the first floor to 4 bedrooms with 3 bedrooms upstairs. 4 bedrooms upstairs. Okay. So the other concern, a question that I have that nobody brought out yet is, you're going to do some substantial additions to the back of this house, is that correct? We're going to be adding to the second floor?
Well, yeah, we're going to be adding to the second floor. It's going to be about 400 to 500 square feet on the second floor.
So the physical size of the house that I saw when I went there is going to be a larger house with an addition on the back, up on the second floor.
Correct, just the addition on the second floor.
And what kind of an agreement do you have with the people from West Elm Street that you can use their driveway to get in and out of your property?
That is a granted easement.
Okay, and it's 7 feet wide.
Yes.
And your house right now sits directly right on that north property line.
That, I believe that the house, the property is definitely close to the property line. I believe some of what shows as house there is actually overhang. That would overhang is a substantial.
Well, when
overhang.
I went out and looked at it, it looks like there was an addition that was built onto the house that was built right out to the property line. And it's right up against the driveway that goes into the houses on West Elm Street. My other question is there any reason why you did not put the driveway on the left side of the house? Why did you encroach upon the property that's on West Elm Street in order to make your driveway? Why didn't you put it on the outside of the house?
That would be a question for Mr. Thomas or Mr. Spink if he's on this call.
Well, we decided to use the right side of the house because of the easement and wanting to create more greenery of the property. If that's an adjustment that needs to be made, we're willing to make the adjustment to make the property and project work.
Well, that's not my question. I was just, so you said that you put the driveway on the other parcel in order to have more green space on your parcel.
Well, having access to the easement is something that we have, that was in our plans as well.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other questions from any board members? If not, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. I'm going to open it up for public discussion. Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor?
Mr. Chair, I did not see any hands raised.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition?
Mr. Chair, I did not see any hands raised.
I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there any city official that wants to be heard on the issue?
Mr. Chair, I did not see any hands raised.
Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. I'm now going to open it up for deliberations from the board members.
This is a very, very cramped lot, but with the current condition of the house, I have to agree with the attorney that I don't see anybody coming along and investing the money that it would take to improve this without making some changes like they're proposing. I generally don't like the idea of changing single family into a multifamily, but this house is surrounded by multifamilies. I don't think there's an abutting lot that is not a multifamily. So when the time comes, I'd support a motion to grant.
Well, the neighborhood is infused with both multifamily and single-family homes throughout the whole neighborhood. When I looked at this property, there was no question to me that this is a single-family home. And the intent to make this into a two-family on the size of the lot that it sits on by increasing the number of bedrooms and then kind of jury-rigging the parking to come in from an adjacent property to get into the backyard of this house. I think that was done in order to maintain some green space in the front, but in fact, the house was unquestionably built as a single-family house. So I got concerns about making this into something that it really shouldn't be and using the other property in order to gain access to it. I just think when we look at the number of bedrooms that are going to be involved here and the number of vehicles that are going to be involved, our whole parking, off-street parking issue has to be addressed someday. But, when I was there, that lot that they're going to use from Brett Street, which services that multifamily that's on West Elm Street, was basically filled with cars when I got there. And I had difficulty when I pulled in trying to get back out again. Any other comments from board members?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just quickly, I have to agree with Mr. Pina. If nothing is done to this property, it's probably going to remain a blight on the neighborhood. I think if this does pass and this contractor fixes it up and makes it more appealing to the neighborhood, I think that would be a positive. Thank you.
Very good. Any other comments?
Motion to grant?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to grant. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Chief Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Pina?
Yes.
Chair Galligan?
No.
Mr. Chair, that it's 4 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative.
Okay, the vote is 4 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The petition is granted.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
That should conclude our meeting for tonight. The last one was withdrawn. So everybody have a good holiday and we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good holiday.